Alrighty, what is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video. And in this one, I want to talk to you guys about some news that came out a few days ago about the New England Patriots being interested in adding another running back, but through the draft. And not just adding another running back, but adding a blue chip running back. Now, for those of you who don't really know what blue chip means, it means an elite running back, top of the notch running back, a guy that is expected to be one of the highest graded running backs and one of the first running backs taken in the draft. These are equivalent to the best running backs in this year's class, but also some of the best running backs that you've seen over the last few years. So to me, that only brings upon two running backs that the Patriots could draft if they want to bring upon that air quote blue chip running back. Now, I know this came out a few days ago. It's a little bit of late news. I still wanted to hop on, share my thoughts, share kind of the whole storyline around this, and kind of say, is this something I could see, something I don't see, and touch upon some of these prospects here and kind of the future outlook to what the Patriots have. Obviously, been dealing with another sickness, so I do appreciate everybody who has had patience with me. And I mean, without further ado, I've missed being on the channel. I really wanted to make these videos. So a lot of draft content we have to make within the next couple of weeks. So can't be sick, gotta grind, and we are back to it. So make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news if you haven't already. A lot of great draft content coming your way, and a couple more free agency videos coming your way too. So let's roll into this one. So here we are, right, as Patriots fans, thinking that the Patriots have so many needs that they should address in the first to second round, and they're pretty equivalent throughout the entire fan base. Whether you want to talk about wide receiver, the offensive tackle, or cornerback, the entirety of the fan base is going with one of those three positions in the first two rounds. It's just a question mark on which one of the Patriots going to go first. Running back, I don't think is one that any of us really thought the Patriots needed to address within the first 2-3 rounds. To be honest, I don't even think they really needed to address it in the fourth round. But it looks like this is a possibility that they're looking into. Now, obviously, they lost Damian Harris to the Buffalo Bills, somebody that's been a key piece to their rotation at running back over the last several years. But you have Ramondre Stevenson, who you drafted 2 years ago in 2021, who really took over for you as that bell cow running back. He's that guy that is being centered around your offense at this point. So you look at that blue chip guy, you look at that bell cow, you already have that guy in Ramondre Stevenson. You just needed a complementary piece to him, someone that can take some of that weight off. It can kind of come in as a rotational piece. And we thought that the Patriots had that guy. Between them, of course, having two guys that they drafted last year in the draft, one in Pierre Strong and two in Kevin Harris, you would think that, okay, they already have that second guy. And you could say, well, Kevin Harris was drafted in the 6th round. He's no lock. And I actually 100% agree with that. He is no lock to make this roster by any means. And I was a little surprised he made it last year. Pierre Strong, on the other hand, drafted in, I believe, the 4th round. He is a guy that you have to expect the Patriots have a plan for, have to expect that they have some type of plan that they want to utilize him with in this upcoming year. We saw some promises from him last year, but for the most part, he was redshirted. And a lot of times when we see guys like Pierre Strong and that type of mode of running back being redshirted, it's your Shane Vereen's, it's your James White. It's that guy that takes over for you as a third down running back, that receiving back. And that's the place that the Patriots really need at this point. So I think that he's a guy that could serve as a big role for New England in this upcoming year. He showed a lot of promise, but New England also went and they signed James Robinson in free agency. Now, this definitely has some risk to it, but I think it has a high reward too. Guys coming off of ACL injuries do need about 2 years to come back. James Robinson will now have that 2 years, meaning that if the Patriots can get any form of James Robinson before that ACL injury, then they are getting a guy who is a bell cow running back potential and is a RB1 potential at that too. And of course, behind Ramondre Stevenson, you ask yourself, okay, well, what is the point in adding, again, a blue chip running back? But this was being reported by Jeff Howe of The Athletic that the New England Patriots were interested in bringing in a blue chip option at running back. He said, and I quote, "The personnel has turned over too. They opted for more of an explosive in the slot with Juju Smith-Schuster over Jacoby Myers, and they traded tight end Jonnu Smith before adding Mike Gesicki. They're building the running game around Ramondre Stevenson and have quietly shown interest in adding another blue chip running back." He also went as far as to say that Bijan Robinson is being claimed as very intrigued by New England. New England apparently is going out there and just letting everybody know what they're doing in the draft process here, who they're interested in, who they're not. And my friends, that is where I say smokescreen, right? Now, I do believe the Patriots are interested in these running backs. I do believe that they are very much intrigued by James Robinson, or excuse me, not James Robinson, Bijan Robinson. Because you look at Bijan Robinson, this is probably the best running back we've seen since like a Saquon Barkley. It's been years since we saw a true number one running back like this. But Bijan Robinson isn't going to go in the top 5 like Saquon did. I don't think Bijan Robinson goes top 10. And it's just because that running back position is just quietly becoming less of importance around the league. Like, there are a lot of great running backs on the open market that are not signed because teams are kind of switching towards this option of going to the draft to get younger guys who aren't dealing with as much wear and tear or injuries, but they can also get them on like a 4-year minimal deal. So that's why teams are looking towards the draft at this point to add running backs and add multiple of them rather than have just one guy that they get, on the free agency market and they're paying $10+ million per year. You're just not seeing it anymore. And that's why Damian Harris got a 1-year deal worth what, $1 to $2 million or something like that with the Buffalo Bills. Like, it was not much of anything there for Damian Harris. In fact, Damian Harris got less of a deal than the Patriots gave James Robinson. I think that goes to say something. In fact, Kareem Hunt, who is a free agent right now, who was with the Browns, apparently is not getting a lot of interest around the league from teams, and he's very frustrated with it because, again, like I just said, teams are not really looking at veteran running backs at this point. Once that rookie contract's up, if you're not a blue chip, if you're not a Bijan Robinson, if you are not a Saquon Barkley, if you're not a Derrick Henry, then teams are kind of looking at you saying, well, what's the point when we can get a guy, again, who is younger, less money in the draft? So, again, 2 guys that I do believe the Patriots could be looking at this quote on blue chip running back in this draft is going to be Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, Bijan Robinson to me is a guy that could very well be there at 14 for the Patriots, but I could also see a team like maybe the Eagles or maybe the Lions deciding to go, well, you know what? We like where our rosters are at. We really need just running backs at this point. We're going to take Bijan Robinson. But it would not surprise me if Bijan Robinson is there for the Patriots at 14 also. I could see him, getting selected somewhere between 15 to 25, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Not because he's a bad player, but just because kind of the perspective on where running backs are at this point in the league. Some teams I think could get him, though, like I said, the Lions make a lot of sense. I think the Eagles make a lot of sense. The Cowboys make a lot of sense, especially the Eagles and Cowboys, just specifically because you look at them and they've always kind of built their offenses around premier running backs, but also to the fact that both those teams are also very good, especially the Eagles, to the point where their rosters are so fulfilled for the most part that they can go out and add a luxury pick in the first round like a Bijan Robinson. Unfortunately, when you're somebody like the Patriots who have a lot of question marks surrounding them, you didn't make the playoffs last year. You had a lot of question marks there. You need help at cornerback, offensive tackle, safety, wide receiver. You got some glaring holes still. You don't have that luxury to be able to go and add a position like running back in the first. And I do think that it would be a mistake for New England because although Bijan Robinson is great, is he going to make a difference? Like if you traded that first round pick for a Jerry Jeudy? No, I don't think so. I don't think so even slightly. And I think that's just bad compensation back on the return you're going to get for, again, the 14th overall pick. And as much as I do like Bijan Robinson, because I do look at let me pull it up real quick. I do look at some of his grades. A 95.3 overall PFF grade this past year, 6.1 yards on average last year, 5.8 in 2021, and 8.1 in 2020 is absolutely absurd. Um, his overall rushing rate of 96.1 is one of the best we've seen from a collegiate level in the last several years. An elusive rating of 169.1 is absolutely absurd. Like Bijan Robinson, don't get me wrong, he's going to be one of the best running backs in the National Football League, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Please don't go to the AFC East is all I ask of you, especially don't go to the Buffalo Bills. But I just look at somebody like a Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think that Jahmyr Gibbs makes a lot more sense for the Patriots. And I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be somebody that goes in the first round unless Bijan Robinson is somebody that goes a lot higher in the first round than I'm personally expecting. Right now, Jahmyr Gibbs is expected to be a second round pick, but a higher second round pick. Like if the Patriots want Jahmyr Gibbs, they'll probably have to trade up in the second round to get him. I don't think that is going to fall to them in the second round, but he's somebody to me that makes a lot more sense if you're looking for a blue chip running back who's actually going to complement this offense, because I think Jahmyr Gibbs has a little bit more speed to him, as where Bijan Robinson is a little bit more run through a guy. He's very similar to um a Ramondre Stevenson, as where you added Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he gives you that speed. He gives you a third down back who can obviously hand off the rock at times. But at this point, the Patriots add another back. They want a guy who's going to be able to receive the ball, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. Not to mention the fact that Jahmyr Gibbs comes from Alabama, Nick Saban offense, but also has worked a lot with Patriots new offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien. And Bill O'Brien and Jahmyr Gibbs have a lot of respect for each other, which would make a lot of sense to why that they would add this addition. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe the Patriots are interested in adding a blue chip running back, because maybe Bill O'Brien goes to Belichick and says, you know what, like, I want an offensive pick within the first 2 rounds. Okay, whether that's round 1 or round 2, I want one of my guys. And he says, here's a list of guys I want, and Jahmyr Gibbs is maybe high on that list for somebody like Bill O'Brien. So to utilize, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, this past year for Jahmyr Gibbs, he averaged 6.1 yards on the ground, to also put up 44 receptions on 52 targets for 444 yards. He's put up very respectable receiving yards over the last 3 years, 470 in 2021 and 301 this past year. Not as much of a overall running back as, let's say, Bijan Robinson is, a rushing rate of 83.3, but a very good elusive rating still of a 99.1. He's a guy that I do think that makes a lot of sense for New England. But after that, you're looking at guys being selected in like the 3rd to 4th round who are not blue chip running backs at this point. I think if you want a guy who's going to make a change and fits under the category of blue chip, that's a Bijan Robinson or a Jahmyr Gibbs. I just don't really necessarily agree with it. I will never, ever be able to get behind the Patriots adding a running back in the first, unless they're at a position, maybe like I said, the Eagles, where there's just no holes and you have that luxury to bring on a running back in the first. But because we have so many glaring issues still, there's no reason that we should be drafting running back in the first, because it does not move the needle all that much. I don't love the idea of going running back in the second, but you know what? I can sit back and say, if they get like a Jahmyr Gibbs in the second, like, all right, you know what? I think there's better options. We could have went here, but it's still going to be a very good move that I think does show benefit. But I think if you even bring on a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, then what is a guy like Pierre Strong have a role for this team at that point? That's a big question mark to me, because Ty Montgomery, I think, showed promise. He's still signed under a 1-year deal. Obviously not guaranteed to still be here in a year from now, but I think he showed promise and is still under a 1-year contract left. You have Kevin Harris, like I said, in his year 2, Pierre Strong in his year 2, Ramondre Stevenson, James Robinson, and you're only going to keep probably about 3 to 4 running backs at most. So again, where would that fit in? At the end of the day, I don't see the Patriots bringing in one of those guys. I don't see them bringing in a blue chip back. At the end of the day, I think they know that they have bigger options that they need to go to. I think they'll overall probably draft another running back somewhere between rounds 4 to 7. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. I originally thought maybe they would, look at the value they have and say, we don't need a running back in rounds 1 to 4. Let's look at rounds 5 to 7. But maybe they do look again in rounds 4, because they love to go running back in round 4. They've shown that in the last several years. But again, the fact that news has come out about this Patriots wanting a blue chip running back, to me screams that the fact that they probably won't do it. You even look at the Patriots picks in the first round over the last few years. A lot of the Patriots picks in the drafts have been guys that they haven't met with, especially early on. So I think that could dictate that, if news is coming out about certain guys and certain topics, or the Patriots are meeting with certain guys, it doesn't mean that they're going to take them. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything, and that it could actually mean the exact opposite. But at the end of the day, we won't know until draft day. What are your guys' thoughts on news coming out that the Patriots are interested in adding a blue chip running back in this year's draft? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video, and of course, subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. I appreciate you guys for watching, and go Pats.